added to the list every day.
How much more do we need to find out? Surely, if you believe in any of this, then you've heard enough. You want to actually do something now, rather than just saying, well, this latest guy, he's talking about this, but he's got the slant because instead of one reptile, it's two reptiles changing and morphing in front of his eyes, or it's instead of ascended masters from the third dimension or fourth dimension, now it's the fifth dimension, and we need to listen. Well, they're saying it's the same thing over and over and over and over again.
What we're doing is an info dump. We're constantly telling each other more and more, and we're just feeding off that energy instead of engaging the sheeple. But we're accusing the sheeple these days as well. I see this mentality a lot, that if somebody doesn't agree with you, oh, they're the sheeple, and a lot of people have come forward and said, oh, I'm deleting a lot of people from my list because they don't agree with what I say. I'm only going to surround myself with mutual friends.
It's, the elite mentality that we accuse the Illuminati, New World Order elite of being sort of handfuls of billionaires and bloodlines and thinking that we're all cattle, but in a little way, in microcosm, we're some of us, not all of us, some of us are maybe guilty of the same, that, oh, if you haven't read the same books, or if you don't think that aliens are among us helping us from other dimensions, and you don't believe what is happening with the swine flu, then, well, you're an idiot and I don't want to speak to you. I'm enlightened, you're not. And if we as a species, humanity, are ever going to win this war, we really need to get together for all of us. We can't do it from just pockets of people who've read certain books, in David Icke books, or listen to Alex Jones.
Well, if we want to keep posting each other's stuff and keep doing it, that's also fine. But that's as far as we're going to carry on, basically repeating work that journalists have done, any original work. Demonstrations. Do we know demonstrations are working now? And
it goes back to the testing. Who even big organisations that do demonstrations, to my knowledge, and I've met a few people and a few people have been involved with them behind the scenes and things. They don't test the results because they don't think they need to understand why they should. I don't think demonstrations work personally. I know that a few months back I've been invited to quite a few different demonstrations up in London, stop the moon bombing, stop the war, obviously, countless others. To my knowledge, none of them have succeeded. I mean, the moon bombing still happened. No one really took any attention, didn't even make the papers, other than a few people's Facebook profile. 2 million people just died down the road in Iraq. Nobody really gives a toss at the moment, and people expect the masses to wake up and worry about the moon bombing. It's getting our priorities right. We all want to do something, and here's a really good example. I actually posted this last year on my Facebook, called There Is Another Way. Here's how one individual did something that most of us still as a collective haven't managed to do. This guy called Tim De Christopher, he was first reported in Democracy Now! and he was an economics student, and he was there in the last 30 days of the Bush administration, and what he was told was that the Bush administration was going to auction hundreds and thousands of square acres of land, protected land, and to the oil companies, and nothing was done about it, and it's the last 30 days and nobody really bothered because Obama's coming into power. They're all drugged about Obama coming into power and Bush is going, and they were really happy, but this was done right under everybody's nose. I wonder how much of this is still known in the movement at the moment, and this is still ongoing at the moment. So this was just an economics student, just like us, just like you guys. He did his exams and then he walked towards this auction, and he saw hundreds of people of demonstrating outside the auction, and he thought, okay, I can demonstrate here and the auction will still carry on and nothing would happen. And then he went inside and a few people still got up and shouted and then still got thrown out. Nothing happened. And he, instead of doing what has been done before, he thought of himself, and he thought for himself, and basically thought, how can I be creative here? How can I do something that's not been done and be effective? And he said he got his courage together and he started bidding. because it's an auction, and he blended into the crowd like an assassin. He blended into the crowd, and he basically used the enemy's tools against the enemy. He didn't even have to lift a finger, literally just lifted up his auction panel, and he bid, and he put away some 250,000 square acres of land, which a lot more than any of us have done so far, which even we're guilty of. And now that is inspiration, because he didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to do anything, and now he's waiting for a jail sentence. And that's what he did until he got caught. He kept on bidding and bidding and bidding. So the people demonstrating outside, the people demonstrating inside, and the people who are reporting that all over again haven't done anything, except this one guy has basically set aside some 250,000 square acres of land. Now that was by the book of Art of War. Now, I'm shocked every time I talk to people, how they react to conversations, or how they go about information, and how they, trap themselves. I said, have you read The Art of War? Because we are at war. We're all soldiers, and we're facing an enemy. Nobody seems to know about the enemy, what the enemy wants, and what we're doing is by the book what the enemy is. So please go and read The Art of War and know yourself, because William Cooper said, if you don't know the enemy, you have no right to be in the battlefield. And it shocks me to this day, all the newcomers, I say, did you know your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3? No, these guys haven't. They just go along the flow. They don't get their basic educations of what's really going on, and knowing the enemy, taking the time.
There's so much that can be done. It's kind of what we're saying, but just writing on Facebook, moaning about it, speaking to the camera. This is the last time we're ever going to be doing a film like this, because there's no point doing the second and third and fourth one. We'll be saying the same thing. So it's out there, and it's either be ignored or be listened to. There's so many different things that all of you, us included, can do to actually make a difference. And again, unless you start actually really critiquing your own actions and your friends' actions, and understanding, right, this is what I did last month, did it make a difference? If it didn't, then don't do the same thing again. Don't keep doing the same thing. So there's lots of things that we can do.
Self-criticizing.
Yes.
Self-critiquing is absolutely lacking, in the movement in a mass way. Every time I come across somebody and I say, okay, you're going to say these things to me, and I ask a few questions, and I say, have you thought about this? And they're blank. They're absolutely blank, and they expect a few people to give answers, and a few people who have done the research, and if they don't agree with it, straight to the next pedal, oh, your ego is taking over, or I didn't come here to debate and win this argument, but and I even got accused of freedom of expression the other day, and I said, why? We're in a thread, and I'm asking all the questions that you guys are coming up with, and you can't seem to give the answer. But we spent 10-15 minutes about good 2-3 weeks ago, even before our first take of this video, and me and Tom sat down and said, okay, we're going to go in front of the camera, and we're going to tell these guys, and saying, change your attitude. What can we even offer them? Because they're going to ask us. Always they're going to attack us. Yeah. Instead of taking the message on board, they're going to attack us and say, oh, what you guys, do about it? What can we do about it?
Apart from the fact that we shouldn't be here to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Because one, we don't want to tell you what to do, and so why are you depending on anyone else?
So here's a list.
Ideas, but we're going to give you a few ideas.
Yeah. Here's a few lists that within 5 minutes, and since then we haven't even worried about it, within 5 minutes, me and Tom just text each other of ideas that we could even suggest and say, here are a million more ideas that you guys can go and do. So you go ahead.
Literally, these are just off the top of our heads at the time. And I think it's important to understand and get across that this has to be done as a campaign. The political parties canvass for votes in the local elections, general election. They come and knock on your door, they hand out your flyers, they speak to you, and they become a visible thing, liked on, disliked, whatever. It seems well they've been doing it a long time.
The missionaries go door to door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Christianity and many other religions,
the Mormons, everybody
were built on the fact of going and spreading the word and speaking to people, whether you accept the word or not. Completely different subject. But I mean, just house to house, your neighbours, people in your street, knocking on your door saying, hey, whether you've never spoken to them before or not, say, is there anything I can do, me, as just who I am?
Can I wash your car?
Not representing any political party or movement or anything, just, can I wash your car? Can I cut your grass? Can I help you out? Can I move the rubbish for you? And they would think, well, what's the catch? And, can I just speak to you for 2-3 minutes while I'm doing this favour for you about, are you happy with what's happening in this country right now? Are you happy with the politician, with Gordon Brown being unelected, with the war in Iraq still going on, with the banking's bailout, the swine flu, the